In the last episode, we get to speak with LinkedIn's Top Voice UK 2017 and 2018. She's the co-creator of LinkedIn Local. She focuses on community growth and she is a LinkedIn personal branding expert. We got to chat with her and learn a little bit more about what she's up to. But for now, let's take a listen to Rob House. All right, guys. I'm here with Tyler Wagner, the head honcho at AuthorsUnite.com. He's founder of the Business Blast Club, a podcaster, and a best-selling author. I met him through Errol Erdman's group of LinkedIn Mastery. I've had the chance to talk to him before on his podcast, and I decided, hey, this guy is awesome. Let me bring it on board and see what we talk about. Here you are, Tyler Wagner.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me on. Really pumped to be here.
Absolutely, Tyler. I've been following your story and being part of your Business Blast podcast and the Business Blast Club that you created. It's really cool. You've got ton of people, ton of professionals, lots of engagement. It's amazing. And I saw that you got to meet Gary Vee in person. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, that was pretty awesome, right? I mean, basically, what I tell people, as you said in the beginning, like I have a podcast, and what
hmm
I find is the more and more episodes I do of the podcast, the better things seem to get. So what happened is I interviewed this woman, and right after I interviewed her, she asked me, she's like, "Hey, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know." And
Yeah.
I don't know why, but for some reason I was just like, it'd be so cool if I could get Gary Vee on the show. And she's not like friends with him or anything, but
Sure.
she was just like, okay. And then next thing I know is like, I'm going to guess it was about an hour later on Skype.
Uh-huh.
She like messages me a screenshot
Yeah.
on Skype, and she had tweeted at him saying like, "Hey, would you make this guy's day and be on his podcast at only 5 minutes?" And then he tweeted back, pretty instantly and was like,
Yeah.
"Fine," and tagged his assistant.
It's like,
Dude, that's
fine,
how,
I'll be on his podcast.
yeah, like that's how it happened.
Wow.
It was crazy. So yeah, man, it's just how I believe things really work too, just relationships, right? So
Absolutely, man.
um
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, it's really true. Gary himself tells and talks about this on all of his videos. Even in his book, he's like, anytime you want to talk to me, you'll find me on Twitter. Like, Twitter's his place. That's the place where he gets to interact with people and talk to people. So, it totally makes sense that's the platform that he would, say, absolutely, I'll do it.
Yeah, man. And it was a really cool interview too. Like he was really chill. We had about 15, 20 minutes with him. And actually I'm not sure when this is going live, but it'll his podcast that I did with him and video will be coming out mid-November. So
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was just talking about Gary Vee and how Gary says, do as I do, not what I say. The next platform that you want to be on is audio. Audio is the next big thing with Amazon Alexa. And that's one of the reasons why Gary has the top 100 podcast. And he also recently launched the Gary V 365 flash briefing. So you can listen to Gary Vee and his flash briefs every day of the year if you have an Amazon Alexa.
yeah, and he has been historically correct. So I follow him very closely, and I do think as well audio. And it's not even really a think. Like I think we can be pretty certain that audio is going to be the next big thing.
Yeah, because it's so much easier. It requires a lot less attention for to consume audio, right? For video, you gotta engage your eyes, you gotta engage your mind, you gotta engage your ears. But with audio, you could be out in the yard, you can be doing out, be out on and about, and you can listen to audio and consume content without taking attention away from other things that you might be doing.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And one thing that I have picked up on too is like you should start to pick up on like what are you doing yourself. And one thing that I've been doing for the past
Mhm.
probably like 2 years now
Yeah.
is I've only, as far as like consuming content, like some YouTube here and there, but it's
Mhm.
mostly Audible, audiobooks, and podcasts.
Oh my god.
Um,
That is so true.
so it's like, and I think that's becoming true for a lot of people. So I noticed that with myself. Gary started talking about it a lot over the past like year or two as well. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, all the stars are aligning here. I think it's, very clear audio is the next thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I've been a huge supporter and listener of Audible because I can listen to my books on my commute, and some of the production on that goes into creating audiobooks, it shows like the level of engagement that you can master. Like one of the books that I listened to recently was Artemis, and it's written by the same author who did The Martian. But in this book, the production quality was like way up there because there's sound effects, there's the performance of the the person, reciting, the person reading the book. It was all a nicely set up production.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what they're starting to be able to do too. Is make it even more so of an experience. But ultimately, I think the real big thing is that you're able, like you're saying with the commute, you're able
Hmm.
to do it. Like I go for long walks every morning,
Yeah,
about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and like I can consume, almost depending on the length of the book, and you can up the speed on
yeah,
Audible too. So like I can consume like more than half a book every day almost. Um,
which is amazing.
yeah, right. So it's definitely going in that direction.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. So, tell us a little bit about if any hobbies you have. I mean, you go on long walks and listen to books. So, do you have any other hobbies besides the podcast, the Authors Unite, and other things that you do?
I wish I could tell you I did. Really, man, my daily day, I actually, okay, I guess traveling. So
Hmm.
traveling is probably like my favorite thing to do, but like a typical
Yeah,
day for me, I live down here in Miami, so it's warm year round.
yeah,
And I wake up, go for a long walk, listen to
hmm,
audiobooks, come back, breakfast, all that stuff. I
hmm,
work from home. So then
yeah.
if it's a podcast day, then I'll do like 20 podcasts in a day. I batch
Wow.
all my interviews. They are short though. They're like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, it is still crazy. Like I think my most in one day has been 32. Uh,
Oh my God, that's insane.
I know, back to back to back to dude, it is, but I love it. Like that's honestly my hobby, and it just so happens to be a fuel for my business as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'd say yeah, podcasting, audiobooks, travel, walking, and then my main company, Authors Unite. I've been running that for about 5 plus years now. So
Hmm.
helping others with books. So it's all like, it's all very like knowledge based. Because even traveling, I
Yeah.
travel. Why I like to travel. My last travels, I just went to France, Spain,
Hmm.
and Italy, and like I just love to like figure out the culture and learn about their history. So
Yeah.
yeah, all my hobbies seem to be fairly knowledge based.
No, that's really awesome, and that's what hobbies are about, right? They engage a different part of your mind, and like listening to books, going out on the walk, you're engaging your mind, and you're giving oxygen and giving blood to your mind because that walk is getting your heartbeat up and providing fresh oxygen and fresh knowledge to your brain. So absolutely counts as a hobby. And podcasting, I think, is a hobby as well, but hobbies tend to become full-time jobs, and it all comes down to how much passion you have for them. And absolutely, it's some hobbies are seasonal, other hobbies are ongoing on a daily basis. That's why we like to focus on life hacks and life and hobbies that help us become a better person, become a more um, broader understanding person.
Hmm. Yeah, man, I agree, and definitely, traveling allows your mind to really open up and like realize that Miami is not the only place.
Yeah,
There's other places out there.
world is so much bigger, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Okay, so how does Authors Unite help? Because I am a, I would like to say, I'm a um, hopeful author. I started writing a book earlier this year
Awesome.
on mobile user experience. So how can Authors Unite help me or help others? You know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, basically what we do is we help you turn your expertise into a profitable business, and we use your book
Hmm.
as that. So no matter where you're at, like say if you came to Authors Unite right now and you're like in the middle of writing your book, so
Yeah.
what we would talk about is, a lot of people have trouble finishing their book. So what we do is when
Hmm.
you publish and market with us, we
Yeah.
also have bi-weekly accountability and book coaching calls with you to help you hit that finish line.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, as far as working with somebody one on one, it can be from the starting phase or once they're done their rough draft, and
Hmm.
then we get them introduced to our editors,
Yeah.
do the editing, and then we take care of all the publishing and the entire book launch and marketing after the book launch, as well as like building a website
Yeah.
for them that is for lead generation.
Uh huh.
We do publish all types of authors. It can be fiction, but we only focus really marketing mostly on nonfiction authors.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
we do the launch for the bestseller, and then after that, we take care of the lead generation, Facebook ads to a sales funnel to help
Hmm.
them grow. Most of the time, our clients are like coaches, consultants, speakers,
Hmm.
entrepreneurs, people like that.
Nice.
And then the other side of the business is collaborative book projects. So we also do this thing called the 100-person book,
Uh huh.
and we just published our fourth version of that, and that's where 100 people come together. They each share their best business lesson,
Wow.
and then we publish that all into one fairly large book.
Wow. So you have 100 people in one book.
Mhm.
That's pretty amazing. I know Errol recently became an author and one of the best Amazon best-selling book.
Mhm.
Um, I still can't forget the Magnetic Entrepreneur. I think
Mhm. I
it's
think that is the
called.
name.
Yeah, and I was I, I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. How you can get from zero to hero. Of course, you have to put in the work. You have to get it out there, and being consistent in writing it is absolutely something that I struggle with myself. And but what I found really good is being able to be consistent with the podcast because one, it's a lot easier to talk than to write, right? And I just got to build that habit to spend a few hours in the morning and do the writing part. But since I am commuting most days in the morning and I've got 45 minutes to an hour long drive, I'm able to record an audio session and I can eventually turn that into um, words or have it transcribed. But I found it much easier to do the audio portion.
Yeah, and you can totally do it that way. I tell people that all the time,
Hmm.
and it really depends. Actually, I mean, I think, and me being an extrovert, like I do
Yeah.
all my books I've written. I've never done the audio and then transcribe it.
Uh huh.
But if I were to, and I probably will at some point, do another book, I probably would do it that way because I'm just better at that, and it's not as hard. Like I could be on my walks, and before I go on the walk, just be like, all right, so this chapter, I'm going to talk about, how to start your business, let's say.
Yeah.
Then I have, a couple ideas that I have written down just as an
Hmm.
outline. And then on my walk, I just speak it all
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
have it transcribed. And I think that is a very, very effective way of getting a rough draft done.
Yeah,
for your book. So yeah, the fact that that's available to everyone should really, there's no excuse why,
there's no excuse.
yeah, why you can't do it.
Yeah. No, that's a really, really good point. Thank you for that. I'm definitely going to use that to my advantage, and because I have the layout, I have the timeline or the outline um, done for the book,
Mhm.
and a lot of it is almost like walking somebody through how to use an application. So it's more of an instructional base rather than a memoir, or talking about certain mindset and stuff like that. So I'll have to see where I can fit it in, because I would have to back all of the talking, all of the words that I've talked and written down, to actually doing those tasks, and
Mm.
showing them where what this specific thing looks like and stuff like that. Okay, fantastic. What else would you like to talk about?
Yeah, good question.
Any fun stuff?
Yeah, man. I mean, to be honest, I'm a pretty simple guy, man. So as far, that Leonard Skinner song, "Simple Man." You
I don't remember if I've heard that
It's
before.
like it's something like, "Be a simple kind of man." That's what it's
Uh,
kinda like.
okay.
You get a little song for the podcast there.
Yeah, yeah,
And like, yeah, I don't know. I just really follow that. Like, I'm really a minimalist. Like, I just think like extreme focus and like focus and dedication on like certain areas of your life will create habits, and then those
yeah.
habits will create success. So I have, I'm just focused on learning, and then I focus on Authors Unite, and then I focus on the podcast, and those are like my three main
Key
areas
focuses.
of focus, and those things tend to grow because of
No, that is pretty awesome, because to have those three focuses and to get to that point, like how did you decide that that's what you were going to do when you were growing up? Like how did you arrive at that?
that's a great question. So um yeah, I'll say, let's say, so when I was younger, I was always very outgoing, and I always was very I'm not sure, are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so he wrote this book called 12 Rules for Life, and he wrote another book called Maps of Meaning.
Uh-huh.
Anybody listening, I highly recommend him. He's awesome, and what he
Mhm.
says is, a lot of men that end up having high success, it's because they have a trait that they are like highly disagreeable,
Mm.
meaning like take you don't take crap from anybody, and like you have a hard time working, potentially a hard time working for other people because you want to do your own thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
either way, I didn't view it that way when I was younger, but I just, when I was younger, I had a few like little jobs in middle school and high school, and like they only lasted for a few weeks at a time,
Yeah.
and it was just because I just think I always had that entrepreneurial mindset, and I was
Mhm.
disagreeable, I'd say. So then in college, I tried to major in accounting because that
Mhm.
made the most money. I tried to do that for a year, and
Yeah.
then a year and a half into college, I read the book The 4 Hour Work Week.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the one.
Such a time to read that book too, right?
Yeah.
In college.
Yeah, that was good. I mean, before college would have been good. I wouldn't have wasted money on 2 years.
Amen, brother.
But it
Amen.
did save me two years of tuition. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, I read that book, and then that made me realize that I could do it on my own. Like I could, I didn't need, meaning not that success. I do believe you need a team as you grow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I just mean I didn't need the diploma. That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I realized that. So then I still wanted to study abroad. So actually, what I did is I studied abroad, and I failed all my classes because I knew I was going to drop out like anyway. So I went studied abroad, went to like 15 countries, Africa, Europe, all over the place, and failed all my classes. Just basically had 6 months of like party over in
Oh
Europe
my
and
god.
Africa. It was wild. It was fun. And then I got back. I had to get my get my crap back together, get my health back together. and then and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna drop out and do it. So yeah, so then what happened is after I dropped out, I
Mhm.
always wanted to be a public speaker,
Yeah.
and I talked to some mentors of mine. I started going to a bunch of conferences, and that was my way of learning because I wasn't going to school anymore.
Yeah, yeah, you're learning in totally different ways, but you're still
Yeah.
learning, still growing.
Yeah, and I was learning from like entrepreneurs that, had actually been successful rather than like taking an entrepreneur class in college,
Sure.
which many entrepreneurs would say is not very credible.
Right.
So yeah, and they were like, dude, the best way to be a public speaker is to be an authority on a topic, and the
Mhm.
root word of authority is author.
Yes.
Then I went to all these events, and then my first book called Conference Crushing, I wrote that, and that's about how to effectively network and maximize your ROI at events,
Yeah.
conferences. And it ended up doing really well. And then from there, what took off quicker than my
Mhm.
speaking career, and
Mhm.
it's, again, has to do with focus,
Yeah.
is after that was successful, a bunch of people started reaching out to me saying, "Yo, I've been wanting to write a book. Can you tell me how you did it?"
Yeah.
So then I helped a few people for free, got some testimonials, built some packages, if you will,
Mhm.
services around it, and then
Yeah.
since then, man, helped over 300 people publish and market their own books, and then if you include the 100-person books, it's now over like 700. People become authors, right? But those are like collaborative
Man, that
efforts.
is amazing.
So yeah, man, and that just took off, and I still do some speaking, and speaking is
Yeah.
actually starting to grow kind of
Mhm.
naturally. But yeah, helping others with books just took off, and one thing to just mention, it's like
Mhm.
what I find, and Gary Vee talks about this all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you just keep taking action, like things start to work themselves out, pretty typically, right?
Oh
So
my god, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I just like, launched a book, and then like people reached out. I helped them, and then like more people reached out. Then,
Mhm.
I charged them because it was a business then, and
Yeah.
then referrals, and then I started to do the podcast, then I started to do Facebook ads, and like
Yeah.
not necessarily all in that order, but I'm
Mhm.
just saying like the more action I took, the more things started to happen, even if I didn't necessarily have a bulletproof plan.
Yeah.
Is just action yields results,
It does. It's absolutely true. And the more you give, and that's what you were doing, you were giving and giving and giving information and knowledge to other people, and they're like, this guy knows what's up. What
Mhm.
is he selling? And that's where you got that. Nice, dude. That's amazing story. I love it. Um, I totally wish that I had read that book, The 4 Hour Work Week, when I was growing up, right? When I was going to college. But I went a different route. I started listening to Tony Robbins, and
Mhm.
I was totally psyched. I was like, "Oh my god, this guy is so fantastic." He's probably one of the reasons why I have such an enthusiastic demeanor when I'm with people, and so I give it to him, and I listened to as much as I could listen to, but all he talked about was personal power. Build your personal self, be a strong person, mind over matter, and you can basically achieve anything you want. And so I've been following that and listening to Gary Vee recently, and starting last year. It's like, all right, I've got to make a change. I've got to make this happen because I've been wanting to have a podcast about 6 years ago. Started a short one with a couple of cousins of mine. Didn't go too far because we were in different states, in different time zones.
Mhm.
But this year I was like, all right, there's this anchor tool. It makes everything so easy, super clean, super fast. And I just took it and I'm just running with it now.
Yeah, man, dude, that's honestly how it was for me. Like, I wanted to. So in my story there, it was pretty much in order, except that the Facebook ads came before the podcast.
Yeah.
but basically, like, I had been wanting to do a podcast probably since about like 3 years ago,
Mhm.
but it seems so complicated.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
you
so
know,
many.
and just to wrap my head around like the editing and
Mhm.
all that stuff, I was just like, I just kept putting it off, and
Yeah.
then Anchor, like you just said, came along,
Mhm.
and I was like, whoa, this is easy. This is what I'm talking about. This is how I like things. Like,
Yeah.
simple. So then, yeah, now I can, as I said earlier in the show, it is literally so simple that I can record 32 shows in one day and then have and I have other systems around it
Sure.
too, where I can like I can record 32 shows
Yeah.
and input the description to each of those shows
Mhm.
and publish them all to iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and like 10 other platforms to
Yeah.
distribute to all in one day.
That's
That
just mind-blowing, my man.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And like, yeah, but that's because I like the interviewing. I like the engaging part. I don't like
Yeah.
any of the other parts
The
of it.
other part is hard. Yeah, the other part is, that should be automated.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, too, one thing we do is we send out, we call it a pre-interview form,
Yeah.
you
You've got
know.
a really nice method. I mean, you've got a really nice system set up, and I'm going to copy it someday.
Yes, please do.
You
You
know?
should. Yeah, because it like, and now I just did we're a little bit over 900 episodes now.
My god, my
So that's the thing too, is it's like the more action you take, the more things break, and
Yeah.
then you're able to fix them and enhance them. So
Yeah.
like in the first 200 episodes, things were not as systematized as they are
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
But because of doing those first 200 and
Yeah.
realizing how unproductive some areas of the system were, I
Yeah.
was able to like diagnose it, if you will.
No,
Um,
no, absolutely.
and then it became now what it is now, where it is a perfect flow,
You know
and it could probably even be better than it is.
yeah. You know what's funny is that that's exactly how software development works.
Mm,
Like, the iterate the iterate the iterate the iterative process is exactly that. You start with the MVP, you put some code together, you have bugs, you fix the bugs, you do another release, you have bugs, you fix the bugs, and essentially you then come with a final product that works flawlessly. Like, we'll see on our phones apps updating on a daily basis. Facebook actually tells us, hey, keep our app updating automatically on a daily basis, because as soon as we find these bugs, we're going to release an update, and we want you to have the latest update. And so
mm.
that's exactly how software development works. So what you were able to create for yourself after the 200 episodes, creating the automation, is how, like, they call it the agile development process. And that's exactly how, teams all over the world work for software development.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. No, I wasn't aware of that. I mean, one thing that I just kind of follow in life in general is like things can always be better,
Oh
right?
my god,
So
yes.
I'm always, even though right now my podcast system, it seems like I can't like think or see anything that could be better at this very
Uh-huh.
moment.
Uh-huh.
It definitely could be, and I'm sure there'll be another tool that could be added to Anchor or something
Yeah.
that could even make the process even more seamless. And I think that a lot of successful people look at things that way and just always trying to see how you can better your systems.
Absolutely. So one thing that I discovered lately, or maybe today even, is Spreaker. I don't know if you've heard of Spreaker. It's
Mm-mm.
Spreaker with the so speaker with the R between P and E. Spreaker.com. It enables you to, one, import your podcast, and as you publish new podcasts to Anchor, it will read that RSS feed from Anchor, and then it can also post each of those episodes to the different social medias. For example, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Tumblr. So those are the five social media that items that I see. I don't know if they have additional things on a pro program, but I was like, okay, I'm doing
That's
this. It's
awesome.
it's so cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I actually just I almost wish I would have heard about that earlier. I just signed up for this program called
Okay.
repurpose.io, and what they do is they turn it into YouTube videos for you from the RSS feed
Uh-huh.
automatically, which is great, but I am paying for it. So if Spreaker is free and they're doing more than YouTube, then it sounds like a
Well, I don't know what they do for YouTube, but I think they're $6 a month.
I
Uh,
see.
and what they also have is they also have a live platform. So if you wanted to broadcast your podcast live as you're doing it, you can do it through their thing. And
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
some
I'll have to check them out.
yeah, and I'll check out repurpose.io and see what
Yeah,
this is all
that's the
about
one.
because um, there's you can always get it out in more ways. I was talking to actually Justin Nguyen uh, earlier this week, and he was saying how he creates multiple um, pieces of media from each of the interviews that he does, and
Mm.
he says he breaks down one podcast into five media sound bites as well as images that he can then post on Instagram and Twitter and put them on Instagram stories, so get more views through that. And I think he just hit 10,000 listens. I'm not sure how many episodes he's got, but I know you're way ahead of all of us.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going for the whole thing, man. I think see, that's the thing too, is if you can like going back to Gary Vee again, like the more things you do, then the more you know what you like to do and what you don't like to do.
So true.
And I've discovered that I love the podcast. So like, I started the podcast only like 7 months ago,
Yeah.
and I'll definitely break 1,000 interviews before a year is up.
Yeah, I totally believe it, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure, it could happen in the next, like, month,
Mhm.
and, like, and I just can see myself doing it, 20, 30 years from now, and who knows where technology will be then,
Yeah,
but,
man.
yeah, and, like, once you discover that, it's really cool to go all in, so even, like, John Lee Dumas, Entrepreneur on Fire, I'm coming
Mhm.
for him?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, you've probably heard of, holy crap, I can't remember his name, but he's a very popular radio show host,
Mm.
and, he uses profanity every once in a while. I don't know if you
Howard Stern?
Yes, Howard Stern, right? He is an awesome, amazing radio personality who's been on radio for the past 20 plus years, and they came out with a movie about him,
Yeah, I've seen that.
and he's been doing so essentially podcast is a new radio, right?
Absolutely.
Right? We're talking and we're getting our thoughts out, and it's just so powerful and amazing. I love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've seen that movie, and yeah, Howard's stuff is definitely entertaining.
Yeah. And now we have Joe Rogan, who's got his amazing podcasts on YouTube and everywhere else. Tim Ferriss is another great man,
Hmm.
and he's like, I mean, he started with the book writing, but he's like, I really love the podcasting, and he's got some good, amazing guests come on that I've enjoyed listening to.
Absolutely, yeah. And I've even been considering, like, I think I'm gonna keep it going until I hit 1,000, and
Yeah.
then what I'm going to do is then I don't know if I'm going to start another one or it just be on the same one. I might just keep it on the same platform, like the
Hmm.
same podcast, but I'll do half of mine short form as I
Yeah.
currently am, and then the other half I'm going to do more long form, not like 3 hours like Joe Rogan,
No,
but
that's insane.
yeah, I mean, but it does work,
Oh yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But more like 45 minutes to an hour, because I
Hmm.
do think that it would be more fun for me because then I could engage more
Oh yeah.
rather than 5-10 minutes. So that's something that I do think I am going to implement, within the next like 3-4 months or so.
That's an awesome plan, my friend, and I know you could do it because I love and I see the focus that you have. It's amazing. I wish I had that kind of focus, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Absolutely, man. Take some Adderall. I'm just kidding.
What's funny is that I was telling a friend of mine, he's a stand-up comedian, and I was like, dude, I think I might have ADD. He's like, I do too, and I take Adderall, and it helps me focus.
It
So
does. You
I
know,
have
I used to take it. I don't actually. I just for everybody listening, I don't actually recommend it though.
okay, all right,
It
good,
does help you focus, but
yeah,
it is a pretty. It's intense, man. Like there's some other ways like that I think are more a little more natural that
yeah.
can also help. So I'm just putting that out there. It was just a joke,
Awesome. No,
but
no, absolutely. Anything medicine related, we have to consult with our um, um, doctors and see what's good for us because we don't want to be
of
putting
course.
random stuff. Um, Rob House actually was telling me that if you work out, do a workout and come back and try to do some work, and you'll find tremendous amount of focus because your brain is pumped. It's got all this blood, fresh blood running through it, having higher uh, heartbeat and whatnot through the workout. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give that a shot because he's all about fitness and fit world. So I was like, okay, I believe it. It sounds very real to me. And there was actually a TED talk about how exercise is the one way that will change the way your brain works.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, that is 100% the case. That's what I mean too by more natural ways. Like for me, and, you know, sometimes I do a harder workout in the mornings, but
yeah,
for me, that's what the walk kind of does. Like
okay,
just being in nature, going for a long walk, and then coming back. My focus is way better than if there's some days if by chance, like I don't know, if I wake up late or
yeah,
something and I have to miss the walk,
mm-hmm,
there is a big difference with my mood, my
mm-hmm,
productivity,
yeah,
everything. So for me, and everybody's different, but for me,
mm-hmm.
a walk or a workout in the morning is essential.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for your time. It was really awesome talking to you, learning about your story, and wish you best of luck in getting to your 1,000 interviews.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks again for having me on.
You're welcome. In the next episode, we get to speak with Rob House. His mission is to create billions of healthy, wealthy human doings by empowering them with the knowledge and tools to help them living healthier, more prosperous lives. So tune in again